Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Nitai Gaur Haribol, 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 Gaur Haribol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanandi Haribol, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Padavrajaka, Charge Asatara Sri Srimad, ISKCON BBT Founder, Charge Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the Son of devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. And glory to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, technical difficulty. Samsung and Apple don't play well together. The verse was on the board, and then the whole system went pritzo. So he's going to change the verses from the computer in the closet, and I'll read from my computer here. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam deving saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our bare means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatuttama shloke Bhaktir Bhavatanaistiki. By regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of God, it is worshipped with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right, so now I have to get this back on my system here. It's going to take a second. So we're continuing our reading from the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 4, Maharaj Ambarish offended by Durvasa Muni. And when this comes back on, we're going to start with text 50, 50 through 53, don't have a purport, and then there's a double verse, 54, 55. Okay, 49, yeah, you're right, no, 49. That's where we start, 49. So go back up. So I'll just recite those verses until we get to the one with the purport. Okay, where are we? Okay, so 9, 4, 49. Okay. Tad abhidravad udbhiksha swaprayasam chanishpalam durvasa dudrave bhito dikshu prana paripsaya. Translation. Upon seeing that his own attempt had failed and that the Sudarshan Chakra was moving toward him, Durvasa Muni became very frightened and began to run in all directions to save his life. And text 50. Taman vadavad bhagavad ratangam Davagnir udhu toshiko yatahim Tatanusaktam munir ikshamano guham vivikshu prasasara meroho. Translation. As the blazing flames of a forest fire pursue a snake, the disk of the Supreme Personality of Godhead began following Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni saw that the disk was almost touching his back, and thus he ran very swiftly, desiring to enter a cave of Sumeru mountain. Okay, 51. Disho nabakshvam vivaran samudran lokan sapalang stridivang gataksaha yato yato davati tatra tatra sudarshanam dusprasahang dadarsha. Just to protect himself, Durvasa Muni fled everywhere, in all directions, in the sky, on the surface of the earth, in caves, in the ocean, on different planets of the rulers of the three worlds, and even on the heavenly planets. But wherever he went, he immediately saw, following him, the unbearable fire of the Sudarshan Chakra. 52. Alabdana taksasada kataschit santrasta chittoranam eshamanaha devang virincham samagabiratas trayat mayone jitateja somam. So, translation. With a fearful heart, Durvasa Muni went here and there seeking shelter. But when he could find no shelter, he finally approached Lord Brahma and said, O my Lord, O Lord Brahma, kindly protect me from the blazing Sudarshan Chakra sent by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, 53, 54 have the purport. So we'll just recite the first of the two responsively, then I'll do the second one, and we'll do the translation and purport. Shri Brahmavacha Stanang Madiyang Sahavishrametat Krida Vasane Dviparada Sangye Prubhangamatrena hi sandidakshaho Kalat manoyasratiro bhavishyati. Shri Ramovacha Stanang Madiyang Sahavishyametat Krida Vasane Dviparada Sangye Bhrubhangamatrena hi sandidakshaho Kalat manoyasratiro bhavishyati. Shri Ramovacha Stanang Madiyang Sahavishyametat Krida Vasane Dviparada Sangye Bhrubhangamatrena hi sandidakshaho Kalat manoyasya tiro bhavishyati. Please chant. Brahmovacha Stanang Madiyang Sahavishyametat Krida Vasane Riparada Sangye Prubhangamatrena hi sandidhakshaho Kalatmano yasya tiro bhavishyati. Nimamo vacha Stanang Madiyang Sahavishyametat Krida Vasane Riparada Sangye Prubhangamatrena hi sandidhakshaho Kalatmano yasya tiro bhavishyati. Shri Mamo Vacha Stanang Madhyam Sahavishyametat Kridavasane Dviparada Sange Prubhangamatrena hi sandidakshaho Kalatmano yasya tirho bhavishyati. Vaishnavis. Sri Bhamavacha Stanang Madhyam Sahavishyametat Kridavasane Dviparada Sange Bhrubhangamatrena hi sandidakshaho Kalatmano yasya tirho bhavishyati. Nidiyang sahavishyametat Yatyatiro bhavishyati. Okay, I'll recite the next verse and then we'll do the translation. Ahang bhavo daksha brigu pradhana prajesha bhutesha suresha mukyaha sarve vayang yanyamang prapanna murdnyarpitang lokahitang vahamaha. So, synonym. Sri Brahma Vacha. Lord Brahma said, Sthanam, the place where I am. Madhyam, my residence, Brahmaloka. Saha, with Vishvam, the whole universe. Etat, this. Krida avasane, at the end of the period, for the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dviparada Sangye, the time known as the end of a Dviparada. Prubhangamatrena, simply by the flicking of the eyebrows. He, indeed, Sandidakshaho, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he desires to burn the whole universe. Kala Atmanaha, of the form of destruction. Yasya, of whom? Tirobhavishyati, will be vanquished. Aham, I. Bhavaha, Lord Shiva. Daksha, Prajapati Daksha. Brigu, the great Saint Brigu. Pradhanaha, and others headed by them. Praja Isha, the controllers of the Prajas. Bhuta Isha, the controllers of the living entities. Sura Isha, the controllers of the demigods. Mukyaha, headed by them. Sarve, all of them. Vayam, we also. Not yat niyamam, whose regulative principle. Prapannaha, are surrendered. Murdnya, arpitam, bowing our heads. Lokahitam, for the benefit of all living entities. Vahamaha, carry out the orders ruling over the living entities. So, Lord Brahma is speaking. Lord Brahma said, at the end of the Dviparada, when the pastimes of the Lord come to an end, Lord Vishnu, by a flick of his eyebrows, vanquishes the entire universe, including our places of residence. Such personalities as me and Lord Shiva, as well as Daksha, Brigu, and similar great saints of which they are the head, and also the rulers of the living entities, the rulers of human society, and the rulers of the demigods, all of us surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, bowing our heads to carry out his orders for the benefit of all living entities. So, Srila Prabhupada's purport for this verse. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 34, it is said, Mrityu sarvaharaschaham. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead approaches as death, or the Supreme Controller of time, he takes everything away. In other words, all opulence, prestige, and everything we possess is given by the Supreme Lord for some purpose. It is the duty of the surrendered soul to execute the orders of the Supreme. No one can disregard him. Under the circumstances, Lord Brahma refused to give shelter to Durvasa Muni from the powerful Sudarshan Chakra sent by the Lord. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarne Om Agyana Timirandasya Agyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtang Stapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tang Sajivam Shadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhya Shah Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama. So Durvasa Muni has been forced to lose his composure. Even more, he voluntarily lost his composure when he got angry at Ambarish Maharaj for taking a little water to break his fast. Now many of you observed the Nirjala Kadashi yesterday, so you know when it's time to break the fast, you want to break the fast. Right after Mangalartik, I went home and immediately there was a text from a devotee asking, when do we break the fast? So we want to break our fast on time. So Ambarish, he wanted to do that. He wanted to break his year-long fast on time. The dilemma was that he had promised to feed Durvasa Muni. The Muni went to take bath. So what to do? Wait till he comes back, or time was passing. So he took a little water, which is breaking and not breaking. So Durvasa comes back. Now, interestingly, he had been in the water meditating on Brahman. You would think if he's Brahma realized, then he should be a cool guy. He should be just, relaxed. I mean, it's stated that Shukadev Goswami, before he displayed his great devotion to the Lord, he was considered to be a Brahmavadi, someone on the Brahma realized platform. There's a nice verse that describes that. Sahaputra Mahayogin, how's it go? Samudrin Nirvakalpakai, Ekantamatir Unidro, Kuda Mura Ivayate. So the first quality that's listed there, it says, is Sahaputra, Vyasadev's son, Mahayogin, he was a great yogi. Samadrin, which means equipoised. Equipoised. So if you're Brahman realized, if you're tasting the bliss of Brahman, you should be equipoised. In other words, nothing should sway you one way or the other. Maharaj Ambarish was equipoised. When the fire demon was coming towards him, he didn't flinch, he didn't move. But Durvasa Muni was not equipoised. First of all, he got angry unnecessarily, tried to harm Maharaj Ambarish just for breaking his fast. Come on, you know what I mean? Even if you think yourself to be an exalted guest, and somebody's taking a little water to break their fast, you may be a little bit upset. Okay, maybe you shouldn't have done that, but all right, I'm okay. Don't worry about it. Next time, don't do it. Give me my prasadam. Like that. Relaxed, a cool guy, but he wasn't like that. He lost it. He took the hair from his own head. You can imagine Rompad Maharaj, when he was giving class on that verse, he said, ouch. Yes, because you can imagine. Can anybody here do that? pull a clump of hair out of your own head? Not easy to do, very painful. So he did that, ripped out his own hair, threw it on the ground, and then the big demon came out. So he's a very, very powerful Muni. He's a very, very powerful yogi, this Durvasa Muni, but not more powerful than the devotee of the Lord. So this is to assure us that if you surrender fully to Krishna, as he himself says, I will give you all protection, and we should take that seriously. Nobody can protect us better than Krishna. And instead, when Krishna wants to kill somebody, nobody can protect them. And when Krishna wants to protect someone, like Prahlad and Ambarish, nobody can kill them. So we should take that seriously. It's encouragement for us that we don't have to, it doesn't mean that you don't take ordinary defensive measures. Just like Prabhupada right here in this temple, back in the 70s, he said, you don't take protection seriously. It's Kali Yuga, people will attack. They did attack the temple. They attacked this temple when Prabhupada was here. And this is where, from this very Vyasa-san, where he taught the Nrsimha prayers for the first time. Because they had attacked the temple room was back in where the Fate Museum is right now, and they had attacked the temple. They tried to firebomb the temple. So Prabhupada told the devotees, he brought them all together and he taught them the Nrsimha prayers and said, from now on you should recite these prayers every single day. So again, it doesn't mean that you don't take ordinary defensive measures. Prabhupada said Kali Yuga defense means guns and sticks. So some portion of the devotee community has to be expert in using guns and sticks to protect the other devotees, to protect the deities. But ultimately we should know that it's not the gun or the stick or my martial arts capability that's protecting me, it's Krishna. Because if Krishna wants to protect you, nobody can kill you. And if Krishna doesn't want to give you protection, like the Rasa Muni here now, because he's offended the great devotee of the Lord, he doesn't have any protection. So he's running everywhere looking for a protector. He goes to Lord Brahma, please protect me. I guess he didn't stay very long, because we know 1 moment of Lord Brahma's time is like a year on earth. We know that from the Brahma Vimohana Leela. He stole the cowherd boys and the calves, put them in a cave, turned away just for a moment, and he saw they were there again manifested. But in that moment, a whole year had passed by our calculation. Krishna had become or expanded himself into each and every cowherd boy and calf. He had gone home, and the mothers, the cows, they became more ecstatic in the association of their offspring. They're wondering why. I mean, I love my kid, I love my calf, but I'm feeling even more love than usual. What's going on here? So, because it was Krishna directly. They were directly dealing with Krishna. So they felt more ecstasy than usual. So Durvasa Muni here in today's verse, he has gone to Lord Brahma. He's seeking shelter from Lord Brahma, but there is no shelter to be given there because he's offended the devotee of the Lord. He can only be saved, as we know the story progresses. He goes everywhere, but he has to come back and bow down before Ambarish Maharaj. So a lot of lessons to be learned there. We have been given, as Arcita Prabhu very nicely pointed out yesterday, the tools for taking shelter, the tools for coming to the perfectional stage of life. And the main tool we've been given is this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we all know the mantra, but we have to chant it with a certain quality. First word, Hare. Everybody say Hare. Hare. But not everybody says Hare. Every day I hear somebody saying Hare, like in Harry Potter, or Hari, like in the Lord's name, meaning he's the one who takes away. It's not Hari Krishna and it's not Hare Krishna. It's Hare Krishna. So Hare, first word, must be pronounced properly. Hare. And then Krishna. Everybody say Krishna. Krishna, only 2 syllables. Krishna. But still, people mispronounce that. Christian or Krishan, or they call all kinds of things they say, but it's not. Only 2 syllables. Krishna. And we know Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, he specifically pointed out that these 2 syllables can and do produce so much nectar that you can't get to the end of it. No jane janita ki adbir amritai krishneti varnadvai. He says, I don't know how much nectar these 2 syllables Krishna have produced. He said, when I chant those 2 syllables, Krishna, I want to have millions of tongues for chanting because there's so much nectar being produced. And what goes with chanting? Hearing. So after getting millions of tongues for chanting, then I want to have millions of ears to hear. Drink the nectar through the ears. Nectar is not only drunk this way. You drink nectar through the ears, through the eyes, when you see the deities. We should always be, this is what devotional life means, that one should be a nectar hound. You see? In the conditional stage, we are sense gratification hounds. We're always thinking about planning, how to get sense gratification, chasing after it. But the symptom that one is becoming a devotee is that one becomes a nectar hound, simply chasing after nectar. Want to hear nectar, want to taste nectar, we want to drink nectar through the eyes, the beauty of the deities like that. Always we want to immerse ourselves in nectar. So what happens when one chants the 2 syllables Krishna and hears, then Chaita Prangana Sangini Vijayate Sarvendriyanam Kritim. Those 2 syllables, they enter within the heart, the courtyard of the heart, Rupa Goswami says, and they conquer the activities of the mind. And we know the mind's business, sankalpa vikalpa, always accepting, rejecting. I'm thinking, maybe we're good to go to the Russian festival this year and the Ukraine festival. Then next moment my mind says, no, it's too expensive. And always accepting, rejecting, like that. So how to get out of that cycle of acceptance and rejection? By chanting Hare Krishna. When it enters the courtyard of the heart, the mind becomes captured and it becomes still. The consciousness becomes purified, in other words. So this is the way, this is the shelter that we've been given in Kali Yuga. Everybody from anywhere and everywhere can chant. Just looking around this room, you see devotees from all over the world. I myself, I was born in Jamaica, raised in New York City. Somebody's from Russia, somebody's from Ukraine, somebody's from Moldova, somebody's from Africa, somebody's from everywhere, India, everywhere represented. Why are we all together in this? Because we're all experiencing the same nectar from these 2 syllables, Krishna. Same nectar is available to everyone, regardless of skin color, caste, creed, age, bodily appearance. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just like death doesn't care how much money you've made in your lifetime, doesn't care what you look like, whether you're male or female, black or white, young or, it doesn't matter. When death comes, as we heard here, death is actually representative of Krishna, Mrityu Sarva Harashaham. When that death comes, it doesn't matter who you are, what you've done. It's an equal playing field for everybody. It's the equal playing field. Now it's stated Maharaj Ambarish was not afraid of imminent death. This fire demon that was coming towards him, he was not afraid, didn't flinch. And it's not artificial. The pure devotee of the Lord is above the modes of nature and is therefore above any danger that can be presented by the modes of nature. So they're not, he wasn't a show. He wasn't like just gritting. No, the pure devotees of the Lord are completely beyond the purview of the material energy. And therefore there is nothing to be afraid of. It's not like sometimes you see a movie or even in real life, some brave guy, somebody throws a grenade and he jumps on it to protect the others and apparently he's unafraid of death. But that's just the externals. We don't see what happens at the moment of death because this character and 99.99% of the people in the universe are sinful. When they die, the Yamadutas come. The Yamadutas come. And that's when the fear kicks in. So you may have apparently died unafraid, but when the actual moment of death comes and you see those Yamadutas, you are fearful like anything, believe me. You scream on the subtle plane that nobody, the relatives can't hear. Many times we've told a story about terminal restlessness. It's a term that nurses, caregivers have in the health industry. When somebody's about to die, death is imminent, they go through this terminal restlessness. They can't they sedate the heck out of them nowadays, but if you left it to their own devices, they go through this. Why? Because they're seeing the Yamadutas coming. They're seeing them coming. One devotee who was present when her father was leaving the body, the father was screaming out, "Get out of here, leave me alone." The nurses didn't know what was happening. They thought it was just terminal restlessness, but being a devotee, she knew. He was seeing Yamadutas. They were coming. So, by being a devotee, dutiful devotee, she put on the proper, chanting japa and gave him the garland and the charanamrita, everything she could do to prevent him from being taken by the Yamadutas. But the devotees never have to fear that. That was one of the benefits that we reap when we read the Ajamil pastime. It's stated there clearly. Prabhupada says, the devotees of the Lord never have to see the Yamadutas, not even in dreams. So that's one of the benefits of chanting Hare Krishna. You become a devotee of Krishna, you never have to experience again dealing with the Yamadutas, which is not a nice thing. It's not pleasant. You think this fire demon, as described, that's just one fire demon. When you see the Yamadutas, they're all like that. And they're very eager. They do their service very eagerly. Utsahan. They have a lot of enthusiasm for their service. Because it's explained. Who becomes a Yamaduta? How do you become a Yamaduta? Does anybody remember? Yes. When you get promoted to Pitraloka, but your descendants, your relatives left behind, they stop performing the Pinda Yagya. They stop supporting you. Because when you go to Pitraloka, you remain there as long as the relatives perform certain sacrifices. And when they stop doing that, then you fall down into a hellish condition. So they fall down, they become Yamaduta, and they're angry. They have this built-in anger for having fallen into this hellish condition. And so they do their service very eagerly. When it's time for them to yank a soul out of a particular body, they are very enthusiastic. And there's nothing you can do to stop them, just like Ajamila was experiencing. He was screaming. He saw them. And therefore he called out to his son, Narayan, and he was saved. Prabhupada explains also a very nice statement Prabhupada made in that pastime, that just like the police are always driving around the city, and then then when the call comes in, 911, we need police, then they come. He said, similarly, the Vishnu Dutas are always cruising around. And when you call out their master's name, Vishnu, Krishna, then they come and save you. So we're very, very fortunate. Srila Prabhupada is saving us from ever having to see the Yamadutas again. Saving us from fear of dying. We don't have to experience that if we take to the process purely and properly. Never have to experience fear of death. As I say many times when I preach in colleges, I ask the students, anybody here afraid of going to sleep? And generally nobody puts their hand up, because we've experienced that on a daily basis. Sleep means you put this body down and you wake up in the same body. When the alarm goes off or somebody says get up, whatever, sound usually brings us back to this body. So we experience that repeatedly, day after day. Sleep, we put the body down, we wake up in the same body. Death means you put this body down and you wake up in a different body, that's all. But because we don't recall that, even though we've been through it so many times, we're afraid. And of course, it is a fearful experience because it's not nice to die. It's foreign to the living entity. And that's what Bhakti Yoga is all about. It's about getting us out of this foreign element. Anartho pasamam sakshat Bhakti Yoga madokshije. Lokasya janata vidvam chakri saktota sanghitam. That the material miseries that a living entity experiences are superfluous. We're not really going through it. It's like a bad dream. It's like a bad dream. We're not actually on the spiritual platform being harmed in any way. But because we're convinced that we're these bodies and every little thing that the body goes through, we freak out. From a toothache up to death. Everything freaks us out because we are attached to this body and we think it's me and I'm going through it. But we're actually not, have nothing to do with it. We're above that. Our actual existence is above the material plane. And that's what Bhakti Yoga does for you. When you practice Bhakti Yoga, it's mitigated, as stated in that verse. Anarthos pasamam sakshat Bhakti Yogam adokshaje. When we engage in Bhakti Yoga, beginning with this chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then we mitigate all of those superfluous so-called miseries. We wake up and realize that I'm not actually going through this. I'm just witnessing what's happening to this particular body. And inevitably, this particular body is going to have its death date, just like it had its birth date. And neither one has anything to do with me, because for the living entity, there's neither birth or death at any time. So when we become realized, and how to become realized, we should not be like these Mayavadis, these so-called, they're tasting the nectar of Brahman, but they're actually envious of the Lord. So Krishna says in the 9th chapter that, how does the verse start? 9:1? No. Idam, yeah, itam tu te guyatamam. Prajvakshami anasuyave, Krishna says, anasuyave. Because you're not envious of me, says Arjuna, I'm going to give you this knowledge and realization by which you can mitigate all the miseries of material life. Idam tu te guyatamam, prabhaksham anasum, jnanam vajnanam sahitam, yaj gyatva mokshashe shubat. Very important verse to read and read that purport. So, anyway, a lot more points we could touch on, but time is running out, and we can stop here. Any questions, comments? Yes, Acharya Arcita Prabhu, please bring the microphone.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for a wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
So I really want to understand how it's possible that Durvasa Muni, which is influenced by anger, which is manifestation of the most material nature, can have access to Vaikuntha. So in Vaikuntha, there is no trigunas. It's free. And Narada Muni goes because he is transcendental. But nobody goes to Vaikuntha being influenced by the three modes of material nature. So how is possible that Durvasa Muni can enter to Vaikuntha and have darshan of the Lord?
It's a special pastime, obviously. Ordinarily, yes, nobody can go to Vaikuntha unless they're completely pure. But this whole pastime, Krishna is making a point about not offending his pure devotee. So he got a special visa. He was accompanied by Sudarshan Chakra, so he got a special visa to go in. But he was not allowed to stay. It's not like he went there and stayed there and remained contaminated. No. In his apparently contaminated state, he got a special visa to enter just for a moment to beg for shelter. But as we know, he'll be rejected. Even by Lord Vishnu, he has to go back to Ambarish. So he didn't get to stay there. It was just a special, 2-minute visa. Not multiple entry. Sometimes you need multiple, we have some devotees visiting from Russia here, so it reminds me, in 95, I went to Moscow, and then I traveled all over Russia, and then from there I went to India, came back. And then, lo and behold, I had forgotten that if you're going to go in and out and back, you need a multiple entry visa. I had only a single entry, so I left, and then on the way back, they wouldn't let me in. So literally, I spent a whole day at the airport waiting for the devotees. They had to run around and get some guy to go get the visa for me and like that. So sometimes you need a multiple entry visa, but Durvasa Muni did not have a multiple entry visa. Okay, anything else? Okay, Grantarachman Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare